born in East LA.
Yeah.
I was born in the General Hospital in East LA. The first time I was really struck with the whole tattoo thing, I was 12 years old, and I was raised in a foster home.
Okay.
You know, because my parents went to prison when I was really young.
Okay.
You know? And I was in a foster home, and it was a white foster home, so I kind of was grew up in the white area of San Gabriel. But I knew the Mexican kids, you know, and from school and stuff like that. And I was a troublemaker white kid, so they liked me, you know. I started running away from home because the foster home was like abusive.
Sure.
I remember I was in East Lake Juvenile Hall in East LA, and they were gonna let me go back home. You know, I just went to court. So I was like in a holding cell by myself. Then they brought this other kid, he was like 16, 17. His name was Buckwheat, and he was from Montavia. He was a hardcore cholo guy, and I was this little kid, you know.
Yeah.
I think the only reason why he even talked to me was because we were the only two guys in the cell.
Yeah.
And the first thing I was, you know, fascinated with was all his tattoos, you know. And he had this Lopez Montavia, and he had like a Jesus head and a cross and stuff like that all over. At that moment, you know, I was just so impressed with this guy, this cholo guy. To me, he was just a badass.
Sure.
So I started asking him questions about the tattoos, you know. He goes, yeah, you get a needle and wrap the thread around it, melt it into a toothbrush, just dip it into the Indian ink and tap away, you know. And I remember he told me, he goes, or you can even use a girl's mascara. I got released that day, and that night I was in my bed, you know, right away. Yeah. I had my sister's mascara, a needle and thread, the way he told me to do it, tie it. And I was right there, and I did this little tattoo on my hand.
Yeah.
I made the conversion, you know. I went to a boys' home. I met this other kid in there that was a cholo. In the boys' home, they had a certain amount of funds, and they would take you to buy clothes. And, you know, I bought all cholo clothes.
Yeah.
While I was in that boys' home, I made the switch from surfer kid to cholo. And when I escaped from there, I went back to San Gabriel neighborhood, the barrio part, you know.
Yeah.
And I just showed up I saw some of the kids I knew from school, you know, and they were already gangsters, you know. And I just showed up there, and they're like, "This is Freddie Barker?"
Right.
You know, because I had the foster, and I was like, "That's not my name, man. My name's Fernando Negrete, and I'm half Mexican,
Yeah.
And I want to join the hood, you know." So they jumped me in the neighborhood right there.
Oh, they did right there. Yeah.
And I think a couple days later, I did my first tattoo on one of the homeboys with the needle and thread and everything. I put an SG on them, and then I did a couple of Pachuco crosses on the other homeboys.
Yeah.
So those are my first tattoos. So, you know what I mean? It was like
Life's a trip.
These miracles all happened for me, and I went to that rehab, and now I'm on a new lease of life. I have my son working with me. And my son is making leaps and bounds in his work.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know,
That's great. Generation. Yeah.
And he's plus, he learned from me, you know, all old school stuff.
Yeah.
So as we're trying to, you know, catch up with the new school type thing, getting better, and we're getting better together.